All right, we're back, and it's COMP213, and it's week 9, lesson 9, part 4. Last video, we talked about your assignment number 4, which is due July 24th. That's a Friday at midnight, right? Now we're going to talk about how to publish on Centennial College using Visual Studio, right? How do you publish to your website? Well, first of all, what am I talking about? I'm talking about studentweb.sendcall.ca, which is here, right? Now, each of you have a student website that's on this web server, right? So you could, everyone has, it's usually your, isn't it a student number or a last name? How do they do it? Student number. All right, so Kevin, what's your student number? What's your,
8008. No, it's actually
your last name, right?
your Sentinel. My Sentinel.
What is it?
KAYIND.
Is that it?
1. Yeah.
Really? Okay, there you go. So that's you. That's Kevin's, right? Site. And now you have assignment 2, assignment 3, and test number 1, right, as an example. Awesome. This is Kevin's site. Now, if you notice, this is where studentweb.sendcall.ca, again, this is how you would go to put your website. Now, I have mine, but mine's empty. And I did this on purpose so you guys and I could experiment together, right? So here's mine. Mine's empty. It says, hey, 404. And when you get this error, there's 2 problems here. 1, you don't have the proper file type that it's pointing to. So you have your website, for some reason, you've made it so that there's no index.html, there's no index.htm, there's no default.html, and there's no default.htm. You have to have one of those in order for this thing to work. So there's none of those things, okay? In this case, I have a folder on studentweb.sendcall.ca, right? Because if you notice, it goes there, right? But it's routing there, but I have no index.html. So how do I make that? Let's go to Visual Studio and do that today. So I'm going to go to Visual Studio, and we're going to start off a new project. Now, for you guys, you may already have a project that you used from before when you use Expression Web or something else, right? So I want you to follow me here, but don't destroy what's on there already. If you already have a website, what I'm going to do here will destroy or overwrite what you've already got going on. So you're going to have to import some of those files you already have already to create your own project. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. So here I'm going to make a new project. That's how you do it. All right. I'm going to make a new ASP.NET web application, right? But it's going to be a blank application. In this particular case, I'm going to call it the site name, right? So I'm going to say COMP213, and I'm going to call this student web, right? -student. All right. Now notice what it says. It says create directory for solution and create new Git repository. Now that's for me, right? That's not for you, right? I'm going to unlink this thing, so I don't need to make a Git repository because we're going to see it up online, right? And the other thing, it says create directory for solution. Now I've created a directory for my solution all the time. So my question to you is, do you think that if I upload my project to my to Centennial, right, or my web server, that I have to take this directory for solution away? That's the question. Right now I'm going to leave it in there. We're going to try this a couple times if I need to. But right now I'm going to call this COMP213 student, because for you, you'd be whatever your student name is, right? I'm going to press OK. I'm going to make an empty website. And see where it says Microsoft Azure, host in the cloud? I'm not going to do that because I don't have, my website's not going to be hosted in the cloud. It's going to be hosted on Centennial, right? Okay, cool. Press OK. Right now, when you open up a blank solution, it looks like this, just like last time, right? So here's my blank solution with my project that says student. Okay, we're going to do this one more time. I'm going to create an index.html file, and we want to make it HTML5 compliant, right? So we'll just do this. We'll say right-click. I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to click HTML file page right here, right? And I'm going to call this index.html5, right? There's my HTML file. All right, I'm going to kill this thing here under HTML and make this lang, right? You're going to see this for the second time this week, English, right? I need 2 meta tags that I talked about last time. I need the character set meta tag, right, which is UTF-8. And I need the second one, another meta tag for mobile devices. Name is equal to viewport, right? And then content width is equal to device width initial scale 1. You need these two meta tags in your page. Okay? Now, if you've been away, you wouldn't have seen these things, right? If you've been with me this week, you've already seen this a couple times, right? So I'm going to pick my title, right? My title for my page is, and again, this is for you guys, we'll make it COMP213. We'll call this Student Web, right? Because that's where it's going to go. I mean, I can make this whatever title I want. For your demonstration purposes, this is what I'm going to have in there. All right, cool. I'm probably going to have some kind of CSS, right? So I'm going to go back to my Solution Explorer. I'm going to right click. I'm going to create my project here. I'm going to add in my new file folder, right? I'm going to call this content. And I want to add in my reset.css. Kevin, where do I go to get my reset CSS? I want to add in a reset CSS. What is reset CSS? Why do I need to use that?
To format the browser. Not to use their own box.
Good. So I want to wipe away. I keep asking the same question over and over again because on the test, hint, I'm going to ask you, hey, why do you use reset CSS, right? And we do that because we want to kill all default browser styles, right, and reset everything to 0, right? So where do I get reset CSS? Where do I get it from? What's your name?
Sheldon.
Sheldon?
Yeah.
Sheldon, where do I get it from?
You can search for it.
Well, you can search for it. Yeah. That's exactly right. You search for it, and you're going to go to, I can go to Google and go reset CSS, right? And it's going to take me to this place here, meyerweb.com Eric. I'm going to grab all this information here. This is the other way I'm going to do it again this week. Grab this thing right here. I'm going to copy it, right? And now I got to create a file to hold all that stuff. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to add style sheet, right? And I'm going to call this reset, right? And then I'm going to just overwrite the stuff that's in here with the stuff that I got from meyerweb.com Eric Tools CSS reset, right? And I'm going to save. Once I've done that, I've got my file, my reset, but I haven't linked it to my HTML5 file. I have to drag and drop, or I can type in link href blah 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 and do it manually, right? Because now I got my reset. Oh, look what I called it. I call it reset receipt. That's not good. Let's rename this thing. So I'm going to rename, right? I right click and rename. Rename this reset with 1E. Now see my typing errors. Of course, I've got to change this link here so it looks right. And save. Okay, so I got my reset CSS. I want to add in my own CSS because I want to have my own. So I'm going to right click on my content, add another style sheet, and I'm going to call this style sheet main, right? Main's got nothing in it, right? As an example. But we're not going to reinvent the wheel here. We did this a couple times this week. So I'm going to go up on GitHub, my friends at GitHub, right? And on my site, right? Here's my site for GitHub. And I would ask you to do this too if you're watching the video. Go here, and from my repositories, because I have this last one I was working on, this part 1, right? Here it is. I have my CSS from part 1, right? And I want to be able to grab, well, it looks like I didn't update my part 1. Let's go back. Let's go to, sorry, what I meant to do is go to lesson 8 for COMP213. If I want to search for it here, COMP213, lesson 8, part 1. It's weird that it got wiped away. And under my CSS, I have a main CSS here that I've already have. Well, that's really strange. It's like COMP213 disappeared. Did you notice that? It's been wiped away. Hold on, look. Like right out of my GitHub. Maybe I erased it by accident. It's quite possible, but really unlikely. That's like crazy bad, right? That COMP213 lesson 8 got wiped away. Let me see if I can just type in lesson 8. Maybe I call it something else. That's really weird. That's bizarre to the bizarre. Okay, I don't know what happened there. That's bizarre that it got wiped away. Like it just disappeared from me. But that's okay, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, I already have it. I already have it somewhere else. So I'm just going to kind of add it in here. I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's bizarre that it got wiped away, but that's cool. I'm good with it. I'm going to go to my, it looks like this particular class. I always have some minor challenges or whatever it is. It's bizarre, but that's okay. So here's my COMP213. I knew I did some stuff. Lesson 9 and whatever. I'm going to go to COMP213 Lesson 8 Part 2, which is what I really wanted. And I'm going to go in there. You should have access to that too, but I will find out why and correct that in a bit. And I'm going to edit this with, no, not with Expression Web, that's for sure, with brackets, which is just any other editor. I'm going to take a bunch of this stuff out of here and up until, but not including my active, copy it, and paste. There we go. So I've got a little bit of styling that I added in, right? Cool, cool. You can add in your own styling. And I need to add my style sheet in here, so I'm going to drag and drop my main.css in here and save. Okay, cool. Now what I want to do is I want to go in here and I want to add some kind of content, right? Because we have no content right now. And I want to kind of add a shortcut for the content. So I'm going to go header as an example, and underneath my header we're going to have a couple of other things. In my header I'm going to have a nav bar, right? Here's my nav bar, right? In my nav bar I'm going to have a UL tag. In my UL tag I'm going to have an A tag, right? Does this, my shortcut when I press tab. Okay. And in my A tag I want to have my href attribute pointing to my pound key, and then what it's going to say is link and number whatever 1, 2, 3. So let's see how that works. This is my shortcut. See, link 1 href. I'm just using my shortcuts here, right? And if I want multiple LIs, I forgot the LI, right? I can always go in there and change that up. There's my link, my list items, right? I was trying to be smart and I forgot that one. I want to have 5 links, right? So li times 5. So it looks like this. Header, greater than sign, nav, greater than sign, ul, greater than sign, li times 5. Means like 5 list items. And then with an href tag, all of them are going to have href tags of the hashtag. And they're all going to have link 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's the shortcut. Okay. And underneath my header, I want to have a main content. So I'm going to call this an article or a div tag with main content. So div tag with an ID of main content. Oh, main content. Right, there's my div tag with an ID of main content. And inside my div tag with an ID of main content, I want to have an h1 tag that kind of gives me like a hello world. Right? And next to my h1 tag, I need to use the plus for next, right? I'm going to have a paragraph tag that contains lorem text of 150, right? Lorem text of 150. I got this big block of text, right? There it is. And here's my lorem 150, and that's my main content. I want to have a footer, right? Here's my footer. With a, inside my footer, I want to have a h4 tag with some kind of copyright statement. So I'm going to put a copyright statement in there. Copyright 2015, right? If I want to put the symbol for the copyright, it's and copy, right? There's my copyright symbol, right? And that'll be it. Now let's see what this looks like. So if I did everything correctly, I've got a quick and dirty website that does this. Link 1, 2, 3, hello world, and a bunch of stuff, right? Okay, let us style my div tag with main content because I don't have that. So I don't need all this stuff. I need my nav links and my footer, and I don't have a section in main. I want to kind of get rid of all this. I don't have any images either, right? So I'm going to kind of kill my images too. But I do have a main content, which I've got down here, right? So main content, right? And in my main content, I want to style it to give it a little bit of padding around my main content. So I'll say padding all the way around of 15 pixels between my main content and the border. Well, there's no border, right? So how does that look? If I was to refresh the page, it looks like this. A little bit of padding over here, and I got my links working right now. They all work. They don't do anything. They don't go anywhere, but they all look like some kind of link. Okay, so let's say this is my site. Here's my example site. Now I want to publish this, and ladies, I would pay attention if I were you. I'm going to publish this now to student web. Right? So how am I going to do this thing? Better for you to follow along and try this out with me as opposed to do your own thing. Right?
Oh no, I was helping her.
I know, but I'm just going to go there now. Right? So I'm just letting you guys know.
Sorry.
No problem. I'm good. So I'm going to stop record. I've stopped debugging here, and I've got a little bit of content, very little. I've got an index.html file. I've got a content site, content. I got main, and I got reset, and that's all I want to do is I want to publish this to my Centennial College. What do? Well, I'm going to right-click, and I click Publish. No, that's the first piece, right? All right, I'm not going to publish on Microsoft Azure, so this one doesn't apply. I'm not going to publish on Microsoft Azure API. That's not going to apply. I'm not going to import a publishing target. I'm going to also have other options, right, with virtual machines. I'm going to use custom. This is the one I want, custom. Click on custom. I need to create a profile name, and I'm going to call this, as an example, something like student web, so I know what I'm publishing to. It's just a name for the profile. Okay, there's my student web. And there's two different methods. I can use web deploy, which will not work, or I can use my web deploy package, a file system if I have direct access to the file system, or I can use FTP, which is probably what we want to use. Let's put FTP in there. Okay, now the server name, right? So again, it would be FTP://, right? Student web .sendcall.ca, and my site path, where is it going? Right now I'm putting it on the root, right? So my root is going to be, I'm going to call this TTSILIOP, right? Because that's my site path. Making sure it's spelled properly. I also need a username and password, right? So my username, of course, is my username to get onto the system, and my password is whatever my password is, right? I'm going to save my password so I don't have to do that over and over again. And what's my destination URL? It should say what my destination URL is. So example would be http:// my whole destination URL, studentweb.sendcall.ca/, right? That's what it would be for me. And I'm going to validate my connection. I'll click validate connection. If I get this green box right here, this green checkbox, right? I'm good. Now yours would look different than this because yours is not going to have this, your username and password, and you're not going to have this for your site path. Your site path is going to be your own, right? Whatever your name is. In your case, it's going to be your first name and your last name, first initial. Okay, so I'm going to go next. And now it's going to say, what kind of publishing am I going to do? There's two options here, release or debug. You know what? I'm going to leave it as the default release. Debug is another option because it signals that this is a debug release. We're not really generating it as main files. It's useful for when we're publishing it in different methodologies, right? So right now this is good enough. Next. And then it says we're done, right? So here's my student web. This is my FTP, right? And my application will be published to this. If I click publish, if I've done everything correctly and I click publish, then I should have my stuff going over there. Now it says, hey, I failed. It says FTP student web send call TTSILIOP cannot create folder. Oh yeah, hey, I already have a folder like that, right? Hold on. Let's go back. So I messed up. How do I fix that? So I'm going to go back to publish. I'm going to go back to previous. And if you notice what I'm saying is, here's my server, and my site path is this. Well, it's trying to create one. I already have one, right? Let's see if I can just do one of these. I did this before. It worked just fine. Let's see if this works. So I shouldn't try and create it if I already have it. One failed, skipped. I love when I try stuff here and it doesn't work. I love it, right? It's amazing. I wonder if they made it Tsiliopoulos, like my whole last name. That's another thing they could have done, right? So let's try that out again. And I apologize for this, but I haven't published to the Centennial College Student Web before, right? That's just the facts. So let's just go back here. And let's say it's like that. And let's publish that and see if it works. Yay, that's the one. Okay, cool. So this is wrong because I also didn't change that down here. Let's try this out. So publish. I've got to change the path, whatever it looks like down here as well. So it's Tsiliopoulos. Sorry, I just didn't have it right. So this is what it would look like. This is what mine would look like. The name of your folder, right? Your name for your first initial last name, right? And then studentweb.sendcall.ca, and then of course the whole path here in the destination URL, and then publish. Once you do that, you should get, yay, this. Right? So you guys should have access to that now too. All right? So that's how you do it in one step. You don't have to use WSFTP, and you don't have to use Filezilla or any other FTP program. You can do it right through Visual Studio. Okay, cool. This is cool, right? But what if you already have files, right? And you want to use those files, right, for your project. How do you do that? How do you import them and create a project from your files? Because you guys already have files, right, in your site. How do I do that? Okay, well, I got files on my site now too, right? And I need to know how to kind of import them. All right, well, the great thing about Visual Studio is, again, there's different ways of doing this upload, right? If I was to actually look at my site files, so here I am, right? And I'm going to kind of zoom. I want to see if I can get to Centennial College, the actual site files, you know, here. So I'm going to connect to Centennial College, right? And again, if I was going to connect directly to it, how would I do that? Again, probably what I would need, and I apologize for this, is I would use some kind of my run command, right? So if I want to, here in, I'm using Windows 8. If you guys are using Windows 7, which you would, you need to get to your run command. So I mean, again, I can search for that. I can say my run, my command, my run command there. Here's my run command. And under here, if I want to like get to it, it would be just like connecting to a virtual folder or whatever, and it would be like this: send call. Sorry, student web. I'll bring this up for you so you can see this thing. Student web dot send call, just to check my files out, .ca, right? If I was to go there and press OK and open it up, if I have access, right? Now in this particular case, I will not. Well, you see, I'm going to try to connect to it. It's trying to connect to the site files directly, right? Why is this not going to work? Because it's an FTP site. It's not something that I can access as a folder, like another hard drive, as an example. It won't do that, right, with Centennial College, at least not from what I'm doing. And again, I got to make minor changes to make that happen. I'm using a Mac. I'm going to put the whole qualified URL, eh? Yeah. And I forgot the I in my last name. How about them apples? Right? So there it is. This is what it looks like. And then if you notice, there's my COMP213 student web. I have to connect to it somehow. And on my Mac, I can connect directly to it. On my PC, though, I got this. Check the spelling, studentweb.sendcall.ca. I can't connect to it, right? Well, there's a reason why I can't do that for me, because I'm using a virtual machine, right? So for me to do it properly, I need to actually go do one of these. I need to change my connection type from natting to bridging. And yes. And once it does that, I should be able to do things a little bit differently by trying to do the same thing. If I go to my run command now, let's try this again to see my site files. I want to see my site files here. And here's my run command, right? So I'm going to try it again. So // studentweb.sendcall.ca, and I press enter. And if I've got access to the files, it should bring up my. You playing my game? What are you doing?
I'm not. It wasn't me.
Who's playing? Someone's playing.
No, I'm just taking her. We're playing, and he just.
Playing games.
No.
Who's playing? So if you notice, I don't have access because I don't have access to this studentweb.sendcall.ca slide files. I can't get to it. So I need to use some kind of FTP program to download my files. Typically, is what I would need, right? Or if I actually go to my site files here and right-click on my site files and go View Page Source, right? I can see that I've got a couple of files here for my CSS. This is what my actual page source looks like, and this is my destination. Okay, studentweb.sendcall.ca. Now, see, it doesn't allow me to do that. It says, look at the details. It says the network name cannot be found. Studentweb.sendcall.ca. Right? Doesn't allow that connection. So what would I do in this case? I want to get my site files. How do I get that in Visual Studio? Let's go to Visual Studio and check it out. So here's Visual Studio. I'm going to close off my files. I'm going to close off my solution, right? And I'm going to go File, and I'm going to say Open. And take a look at this. There's some options here, right? What about this website thing? If I go Website, here's my file system. Take a look at this, guys. My file system, go back. So File, Open, there's Project and Solution, like I had before, right? Which takes me to my file system. Or File, Open, Website. If I go to File, Open, Website, take a look at this. I get local IIS server, which is here locally, or an FTP site. Well, guess what this means? I can connect to my FTP site like this. So I can go do the same thing. studentweb.sendcall.ca, right? What's my directory? Well, it's my last name. Passive mode. I'm not going to anonymously log in. I got to log in our case with a username and password. There it is. Right? And now I'm going to press Open. Look what it does. It actually opens up a direct link to my folder. Right? That's what it does here. So I've got my site files. I'm accessing my site files here directly in Visual Studio without creating a solution. I don't have to create a solution here. I got a solution, and it's these files. I'm actually getting them directly with Visual Studio. So if I want to look at my index.html, double click, and it opens up my index.html. And anything I do here, as an example, directly accesses stuff on the site. Because look at this. Look at my project is the actual site itself. FTP : blah 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 blah. Now, why is this a bad thing to do? Anyone? Put up your hand if you figure this is a bad thing to do. This is good and bad, right? It's good if you're making little changes. It's bad because if I do this, my site is you see the exact effects right away from my site files, which means if I mess up, they're down. Those site files are not going to be available right now. Like if I rename my index.html something else, right, it's not going to work. I never want to directly work on my site files like this is giving me here. I have access to do so if I want to make a minor change or something like that. But what I really want is two things. I want a staging area where I can do my work, right? And then I want another area that I use for production. This is my production site. on studentweb.sendcall.ca. That's my student, my production site. I don't want to mess with my production site. I want to do this in Visual Studio or in Expression Web or in Brackets or something else, and then upload everything later on when I'm done my changes. So this is good, right? If I want to make a minor change, but it's bad because whatever I do here gets directly changed, and I may make a mistake that takes my site down. You never want to work like this with your client either. Okay, so let's get out of this then. I wanted to show you it because you're going to try and experiment, and you're going to figure this out on your own. And this would be bad if you did it this way. I'll stop this. Okay, and I want to close this down. So File, I want to close my solution, right? And I'm not going to make any changes to my solution. Press No. Okay, so how do I import this stuff? How do I want to create a new project, right? And I got this other thing that says project from existing code. Take a look at this one. Project from existing code, right? So let's see if maybe this can help us, right? Project from existing code. Hey, look at this. It says, welcome to the create project from existing code files, right? But it only gives us Visual Basic and Visual C#. Well, Visual C# is probably where we want to go. And then it gives me, hey, where are the files located, right? Now, if you notice, it says it's looking for local files. And if I go here, it's actually going to go and look for a local folder. So this doesn't do it either. I can't grab it from a local folder unless I've somehow downloaded them first, right? And again, if you notice, it's a console application or Windows application or whatever. So this isn't it either. So I can't do it from there because I don't want to just like reinvent the wheel here. I want to use some site files that already exist. So does anyone have any ideas of what to do? Well, here's what I would do, right? If I already had an existing site, I would connect to it to a FTP for the first time, but create a folder, some kind of project, as an example, as a container, so that it's blank project, and I would download the files that I already have, put them inside the project, and then use that project as the one that I'm going to be using to upload to with Visual Studio. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So I'm using Filezilla, right? Filezilla is actually also a free download. You can actually download and install Filezilla. If I was going to see where that is, I actually like Filezilla a little bit more than WSFTP. Everyone likes different things, but this is my favorite program for FTPing, right? And how do I get that? I'm going to look for Filezilla. So I'll say Filezilla, right? And then it's the free FTP solution, right? So you're going to download the Filezilla client, and when you download it, it'll install, and it's pretty much, it'll work on most platforms. If you notice, here's all platforms is what it says, right? That means it'll work on Linux, it'll work on Windows, and it'll work on Mac. That's one other reason why I like it, right? So Filezilla is a great little platform for that. All right, cool, cool. So I've downloaded Filezilla and I've installed it, and now I've got this. Oh yeah, hey, look, it says install the new version because it's got an update. We'll do that right now. So here, it's like I'm installing Filezilla for the very first time anyway. It's perfect. So here's what my Filezilla update looks like. I press OK. Now look what I have here. I have hosts on the top, and I would invite you to do the same. Download and install Filezilla in front of you, in the system in front of you. It doesn't matter. It'll work. So what host do I want to connect to? This is my favorite FTP program, right? So I'm going to download and install this, and then I'm going to go to my host, studentweb.sendcall.ca. My username and password, of course, is going to be the same username and password I always use, and my port's going to be 21 because FTP typically is port 21. If I go quick connect, right, now it's going to connect with my files. Take a look. I get access to all the files, like every file, every folder, whatever, it's here, right? So if I want to look at Kevin's files, I can go over to Kevin. Can I spell your name, Kevin, again?
K-A.
I overshot. Oh. K-A-Y. There it is, right? Take a look. If I go into Kevin's folder, right, it says failed to retrieve directory listing, access is denied, right? I can't get in there. I can see it, but I can't get in there because I got no access to Kevin's stuff. I'm not an administrator. I'm just like one of you guys. I can see them, but I can't get in there, right? But I can get into mine. If I go into mine, if I scroll down to see my stuff, right? Mine's here under TTS, right? If I actually find it without overshooting here. I'm just going to do this. This is the long way. There's also the short way. But I want to show you this just in case you make a mistake. And there I am. Right? There's my file right here. TTS ILIOPOULS. Right? Double click. And now, right, it's going to retrieve a directory listing. And one day, there it is. There's my files. Look. Here's my bin, my content, my index, my web config. It's all there. Right? So I want to get this stuff. How do I get it? Well, on the left side, the right side is my remote files. On the left side, right, are my local files. So I can download these things, right? I can go up here to my downloads as an example. So here's Tom, as an example. And then I'm going to have my downloads folder somewhere. There it is. And here's my downloads folder. And what I want to do is I want to pull these files into this download folder, right? Because it's like C:users Tom downloads is where I'm going to put it, right? Let's see what that looks like locally. So C users Tom and then downloads. Nothing in there, right? So that's where it's going to go. All right, so let's see that go. So I'm going to kind of highlight all these files, and this is the great thing. Drag and drop, right? Should be able to work, right? How does that work? Come on. How do I get it? Right? Well, here. If I go this one at a time, I can do index, I can do content, I can do bin, I can do. The reason why I was having a problem is because this : I couldn't do. So it's a drag and drop environment. Okay, cool. If everything is good, now when I look at my local folders, it looks like this. So here's my local folders. I got my website. I'm building up my project, just like you would need to build up your project in Visual Studio for the first time. If you're going to use Visual Studio as your new IDE, right? And update your files up on your server, right? Okay, cool. So we've got our stuff. I can close off my Filezilla now. I don't need this anymore, right? I got my files in my Tom downloads folder, right? Okay, I've got my empty solution. Let's try this out now. I'm going to go File, New, right? Okay. I'm going to create a new project this time. And this time I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say Tom's Web, an ASP.NET web application. And here I am. I'm going to do this new web application 1. I'm going to call this thing Student Web, whatever your name would be called. This is the other way to do it. You already have site files. Press OK. An empty solution. And this time, without creating my stuff, look, I got all this stuff here, right? I don't have any files in here anymore, but I do have my local files that I got from my FTP program, right? Well, what do I do now? How do I include all this in here? I just drag and drop, right? I don't need my web config file, but I do need just to drag and drop. So I drag and drop my content folder, and I drag and drop my index.html folder. Right, there it is. Right, got all that. So that looks identical now to what I have here. It's identical, right? This is it. If I run it locally, right, it runs like this. It looks the same. It's already looking the same. Okay? If I stop, I need to create my publishing thing again. Let's look at this one more time because I want to publish to my site with my current stuff, right? But I'm going to make a change. Inside my index.html, I've got all these links that have link 1, link 2, link 3, link 4, link 5, right? I'm going to change this so that they say home, right? Let's say products and services, because that's the 5 most important things. These are the 5 most common links you make for all your websites. Products, services, about me and contact me, right? These little silly links. About me and contact me, right? Now they don't go anywhere right now, right? But I made these links look different. And if I was to run this thing to show you what it looked like, it looks like this. Look, here's my home, product, services, about me, and contact me. Hey, let's add a class to my home, right? I want to add a class to my home link, right? And I want to say class is equal to active. I want to make my home link active right now because I made a class in my CSS. Let me show you that. So here's my, my Solution Explorer. Here's my class in my CSS file right here. Here's main CSS. And I got the bottom almost. I got this class that says active. And it changes my text decoration to underline for anything that's been marked as active. That's what I've done, right? And I've applied that class here in my A tag. So that way when I'm on my home page, it's showing my text decoration as active. Okay, good. Let me just run that now and see what it looks like. Made a couple changes here. So now my underline is here already because it's showing me that I'm already home. And if I click on one of these other ones, I don't have these other pages yet, but if I click on these other pages, as an example, I have to make them so that they have different pages. Let's add some more pages, guys. How do I add more pages to my site really, really quickly to give you an idea of how to make this happen? Watch. So I've got my index.html. I'm going to close this down. I'm going to close this down. And I'm going to right-click on my index.html, and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to right-click on my project, and I'm going to paste. And I'm going to paste. And I'm going to paste. Right? So 1, 2, 3 indexes. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. And I'm going to paste on my my stuff. So I've got all these indexes, right? Well, I need to rename them, right? So what am I going to rename these things? Products, services, about me, contact me. I'm going to make these pages now. Watch. Right? So here's my products. You're like, what is she doing, right? I'm just being, I'm lazy, right? I don't want to type things in. Products, services, about me. I'm going to call this about. And contact me, I'm going to call it contact. So my 5-page site. Okay, done, done, done. All these pages, right? Now there's no links to these pages right now, right? I haven't made them. And you know what? I got to modify all this stuff. Maybe I could have done that in my index.html first, right? Okay, so let's go back to my index.html. Well, here's my class active for home, but I don't have any links. I'm going to definitely go here. I'm going to make this so that it goes to index.html. This one here, it's going to go to products, products.html. This one, if you notice how Visual Studio finds my HTML files, watch. Type in services because it already exists. It finds it for me, puts it in. Same thing with an about page. About. One more thing with my contact. Here's my contact. Oop, not content. Contact. Right? So I got all these things here, right? So now that I've got these, it's good. I got this whole thing here. I'm going to copy this because I'm going to go into the other pages in a second and paste over these things. So I don't have to type this again, right? Save. And now I'm going to go into my about page and just copy over it, right? And this time I'll move my class active from my home page to my about because it makes sense, right? That my about page is active now, right? Makes sense? Kill this thing, right? And oh, I forgot. I got to copy this again. Copy all this, right? So if I don't copy it, I can't go to my contact and do the same thing, right? So here's my contact, and then this is cool. I'm going to move my active from my about to my contact, right? Cool, cool. And let's copy all this. And get out of this. And I got my index, my product, same thing, really quickly. And I'm going to move my class active from my contact page to my product page. And copy all this. I'm just going to copy and paste so I just don't have to do this over and over again. You can do the same thing. I'd recommend you do not watch to make it easy for yourself when we're on an exam, right? So if you don't know how to do this now, then on an exam you'll be too slow. And here we're in services, so do the same thing with services. Okay, so that's the only change I made, right, to all the pages. Now I'm going to start changing the H1 tags. So my hello world is going to change to services, right? Maybe I'll make it our services, right? For services, make a few changes, right? And my products are going to be our products, right? Cool, cool. And you know what? My contact page is going to say contact me or contact us. Now this doesn't make any sense, this P tag for contact page, right? So I'm going to take it away, right? This whole P tag. And make another one, right? And inside my paragraph tag, I want to have a couple things, right? My name, right, for my contact information. So let's say like Tom, you know, my name, and maybe with the BR tag, right? And then, you know, my phone number, right? So phone, you know, as an example, if you want to contact me, here's actually my my cell number. If you guys want to reach me on my cell, there it is. I don't mind. Okay, so here's my Tom. I'll make this cell, right? So here's my contact information, right? Did that, and that's cool. I got my about page, right? About us, and I'll say in here, just to make it different, I'll say something like content to be added later, right? As a thing. So I've added all my pages in here, so you see that they're all different now, right? And I got my products, my services, my contact, and index. Instead of index being hello world, I don't like hello world. Maybe I'll say welcome. I'll call it welcome students, right? Okay, there's my welcome students page. Let's see how this all looks now. So locally, let's run it locally and see what it looks like. Locally means here on my computer, right? So locally, it says welcome students. And now at my home page, my products page, let's go to products, see if it works. Products now keeps the products underlined, and it says our products. Services, services keeps the services underlined, and our services. About me, about us, right? I gotta change that. It should be about me, right? Not about us. Or about, it should be about I either got to change my this part about me, or it should say I got to change the about page that says about us. Let's just change this about us instead of about me. I'll change that all over the place. So that's one change I could easily make. Now we haven't published this yet. I'm going to publish this to contact us. Oh, no, I'm wasting a lot of time. What would have been the right thing for me to do before I did all this? Because I'm changing the stuff on every page over and over again. Well, it'd be nice to have a template page, wouldn't it? Something that I change once and then modify again and again, right? Contact us. Better to get it done right. Did you figure it out? Did you figure out how to do it? I'm going to come around after this and do it in a second with you. And about me, about us, contact us, right? And services. I forgot to do this. All right, and you know what? For our contact page, since it's not just about contacting me, I'm going to say, you know, John Smith instead of me. John Smith, you know, and then the maybe I'll make it somecompany.com, some company Inc. And then, you know, an address 123 my address or companyaddress.com, company road. There we go. And then it'll be why not? It will be Toronto, Ontario, and then some fictitious postal code, right? And then a phone number to make sense, 416. I always like the ones in the movies, 555, 5555, right? Let's see, some breaks as well here, another one. And BRs are line breaks, right? That's what they are. Now this is one way of doing it, right? And by the way, there's some semantic HTML that we can use to put this in. Instead of P, right, a P tag, what could I put in here for semantic HTML? Have you guys learned other tags other than P tag for addresses? Well, there is one, right? I'll put this underneath here. If I start typing address, right, it actually does that. It actually says this is an address now. If I take this and put it inside my address, right? Why not? Since we're learning, might as well do it the right way. There's my address. And the other thing is, this is a cell number. If I want this number to show up as a number, right? Right? I want to highlight this thing as a number, right? I can do that too. How do I do that? So if I start typing, see? Okay, let's see if this works. And this wouldn't be cell, it would be tel. Telephone. Okay, good. So there's my address. And you know what? I want to make my John Smith. This is a cheesy way to do it. But let's say I want to make it so that it's bold. I can use the strong. It's kind of an old way of doing it. I can use strong there, somecompany.com, right? Oh, I forgot my website address. Got to put that in there too, right? www.somecompany.com, right? But I want to put this in a hyperlink. So I want to make an A tag for that, right? So I want to make it an A tag, right? And with http://www.somecompany.com as my link text, it's going to be this. So it's going to glow. There we go. And with a target of a blank page. I want to make it a new page. It's going to just go to another page when it goes to the target. And you know what? This is cool. That's my email or my website. But what about my email? So I'll do an email link. Email. And then it's going to be info@somecompany.com. This fictitious company, right? And then what I want to do here is make a mail to, right? Remember the mail to? How do I do a link like that? So here's my email. It's another A link, right? A tag. So I'm going to go here like this. This is what my actual thing is for the A tag, my text. And then my email, right, for between my link here is going to be an A tag, right, with an href of mail to, and then it's info@www.somecompany.com, or sorry, at somecompany.com. Okay, and I want to take this stuff, not the L, I made a typing error there, typo. Take this, I'm going to make my proper address information, copy it, or cut it, and replace the content with that. And this is what I got. Take a look. So here's my address, and then I made my name strong, John Smith, my Some Company Inc., 123 Company Road, Toronto, Ontario, XOXO, right? And then a telephone number, my email address, and I'm using my mail to for my email address, and my href for my somecompany.com is also put here as well. with a target of blank, which is going to take me to a new page. Okay, let's see this thing work now a little better before I upload it to student web. Right? Remember, I already have stuff on student web. So what does it do when I go there and try and replace it with other things? Let's try this out. Watch. Okay, so here's my contact us, right? So if I go to home, products, our products, services, our services, about us, content to be added later, and contact us. There's my contact us information. John Smith, Some Company Inc., 123 Company Road, right, as an example, Toronto, Ontario, XOX, OXO. And you know what? How come my John Smith is, nothing's happened with John Smith? How come it's not bold? Like, I expect John Smith to be bold, right? How come it's not bold? How come? Even though I use strong, look at, I use strong, right? I'm going to stop this and go and look at Solution Explorer, right? Here's my my contact information. Here it is, look. And John Smith, I labeled as strong. Strong is a default HTML5 or HTML, old school HTML code that says I want this to be strong. Strong means bold, typically, right? Well, not necessarily, right? And because I use Reset CSS, take a look at Reset CSS. Under Reset CSS, I said all these things, including you know, all the things that make my body tag change size and all that kind of stuff, like strong right here, I want to default it to nothing. I want my font size to be 100%. My font, I want it to inherit. I want to make my vertical align baseline. So strong is affected by that. And I got to define my own strong. What does it mean? In my main.css, which is a good thing. So here's my main CSS. And I want to define what strong means. I'm going to put it here at the top. So I'm going to say strong. When I say strong, it means my font weight is bold, right? And my font size, instead of 20 pixels bold, right? I want to make it, you know, let's see if I go large. Let's see what it does. Large, font size large. Let's run that now. So I go to contact us, and it's the same size. Because there is no font size large. Because large, right, I have to define what large is, right? So it's better that I go back here because I've wiped out all the things. I got to say, well, large to me means 25 pixels or 24 pixels, right? Font size 24 with a line height of 30. Line height of 30 pixels. So that's what strong means. Okay, cool. Now let's see what it looks like. There you go. John Smith, somecompany.inc.com with a couple things. Oh, hey, oh man, I forgot to do that. So I got to fix that up. So on my contact page, I want a line break again to go to the next page after my email. Let's just unpin this for a second. I want a line break here. Right? And let's refresh this page. Right? So refresh. And here we go. So now you have my company info at somecompany.com and then www.somecompany.com. If I click that, it won't go anywhere because there is no such thing as somecompany.com, right? I wonder if you can reserve that as a domain name. I don't know if you can. Huh? And the same thing with info at somecompany.com. What it's supposed to do when you click on info, when you have the mail to, is it's supposed to bring up your it's supposed to bring up the stuff. Did I do it right? Mail to, oh yeah, I didn't do it right. I got to put in // right? Or else it's not going to work. Let's try that again. So refresh. Right there, refresh the page. And if I type info at somecompany.com, it should bring up my mail to stuff, right? If I have a mail client, like a default mail client, it should bring it up. Okay, cool. I got all this stuff, right? I need to upload it to the web, right, to make it work. So you guys can see it. Because right now I'm only seeing it here locally. Welcome students, right? So how do I do that? Right? Well, I got to define a new publish, right? Let's try this out. So I'm going to go stop debugging. And I'm going to go right click on my, let's do this together. If you guys have done it, if you haven't done it before, right click on my project, student web, and click publish. And when I click publish, I got to define my custom properties. I'm going to call this student web, just like I did last time. This time I'm using existing files, right, to do it. Last time I kind of made my own files, right? So what's my server? Again, it's studentweb.sendcall.ca in our case. I site name, right? That's where it's going to go.
So you're gonna change the publishment of that.
Sorry, I did that wrong. FTP, right? Because look what it says as a default. FTP : / it's student web. I'll be okay. Student.sendcall.ca and my site name, site path, which is my folder. All right, leave it as passive mode and then put in my username and password. I'm going to save my passwords. I don't have to do this again. And my destination URL should be the same as what it should be for me. So studentweb.sendcall.ca / and I apologize for the long last name. But this is me. Okay, and then next. And now next. I don't change anything there. There it is. And then publish. And if I've done it correctly, it's going to wipe away the old stuff and put in the new stuff. Right? And if you notice, if I go to products, I've got my products page and my services page and my about us and my contact us is there. And you know what? It all works. Why don't you check it out? Go to this address, studentweb.sendcall.ca, my last name, and then see what you guys get when you go here. Go. Check it out. See if it works for you. You guys there? I thought you were a fast typer. Come on. Sheldon, come on. You guys there? What's that?
Just going to the web.
Holy. Long time. How about you, Vanessa? Try it out? Or are you working on something else?
I'm working on.
Oh.
design
Already?
for- Yeah.
Oh. Check it out. You guys should be able to see it too, just like I see your stuff. Right? How about you, John? You following along or you doing something else? Oh. Headlock. I'm putting you in a headlock, man. Come on. All right, so when you get there, you'll notice that, again, I have all these things. But remember what I had there before, right? Before, I only had an index.html, and now, up here, I've got, 5 pages. My home page, my products, my services, about us, contact us. I got all those pages down there, right? And I did that very quickly, right? Wasn't a big deal. Okay, well, to test this out, because this is on my PC side, let's try the Mac side. And I'm going to go to refresh, because this is what I saw before. Now I see my home page, and here's my contact us. And if I go to here, it should bring up my, oh, that's bad. Look at this, info, the 2 slashes. That's wrong. I actually had it right. So let's go back and change that up. I tested it. I don't need these 2 slashes. I had it right the first time. And this means I need to publish again. Right? Because I got to change my pages. I'm just going to click publish now. Now that I have all my settings right, it should be 2 seconds to publish, which it is, right? And now when I go to my Mac side, let's try this again, right? And I refresh my page, and I click this. Now it emails from me, right? That's what it's supposed to do. Somecompany.com. So I kind of showed you the whole gamut of things today, but what I really wanted to focus on is how to publish, right? So I think it's important to know how to do that within Visual Studio, right? Any questions around that? How to publish. All right, so we're going to pause it there, and when we come back, we'll continue to finish off chapter 7 of our book.